Ladies, let me tell you something that most folks won't say out loud. When a man gets married, it's not just about having a wife in the house or somebody to cook dinner or raise kids. No, a real married man, a grown man who's serious about life wants something deeper than that. He wants partnership. He wants peace. And most of all, he wants to feel like he made the right decision every single day. When a man decides to get married, he's not just looking for a partner to live with. He's looking for something much deeper, something that often goes unsaid. People talk about love, attraction, chemistry, but what a married man truly wants is far beyond that. At his core, a married man wants to feel valued, respected, and safe. Emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. He wants to know that he can trust his wife, not just with his life, but with his truth. That's a big ask, and it's not about perfection. It's about presence, consistency, and understanding. See, a lot of women think men are simple, and in some ways, yeah, we can be, but when it comes to marriage, we're not as hard to figure out as people think. We just don't always know how to say what we feel, or we've been raised to believe we shouldn't feel at all. A married man walks through this world carrying responsibilities on his back, providing, protecting, performing, and sometimes it feels like no one sees the weight he's carrying. That's why when he comes home, he doesn't want to enter a battlefield. He wants to feel like he's walking into a sanctuary. He's not looking for a second boss in the house. He's looking for peace. He's looking for a place where his soul can breathe. A married man needs emotional safety. That doesn't mean you ignore problems or keep quiet about your needs. It means when he speaks, you listen without preparing your counterattack. It means you give him space to express his fears, doubts, and worries without using them against him later. It means that when he's not himself, you don't assume the worst. You sit beside him and let him know you're not going anywhere. That kind of security is rare, but when a man finds it, he'll move heaven and earth to protect it. He'll love you with everything he has because he knows that with you, he can finally put the armor down. It's not just about peace either. It's about appreciation. Every man wants to feel that what he does matters, that when he sacrifices sleep, time, or energy to build a life with you, it's noticed. When he does something small, like fixing the car, helping with the kids, or just showing up for dinner, even when he's exhausted, he's hoping you'll say something. Not because he needs praise all the time, but because acknowledgement fuels a man's spirit. When you show him that you see him trying, he'll try even harder. But when a man feels invisible in his own home, when everything he does is expected but never appreciated, he starts to retreat. He won't always say it, but he'll feel it. And over time, that silence becomes distance. Sometimes the strongest men are the quietest ones. They don't talk about what's wrong. They just start checking out. That's why it's important to catch the small signs. If he's more silent than usual, if he's not laughing like he used to, if he seems like he's carrying the weight of the world, you got to step in. Not with criticism, but with care. Ask him how he's doing. Let him know you're there. Show him that you're not just his wife, you're his partner, his friend, his team. Now, let me be real with you. Every married man wants to feel like he made the right choice. When he picked you, he chose someone to share his world with. And every day that passes, he's looking to see if that choice still stands strong. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect or keep him happy 24/7. That's impossible. But what it does mean is that he wants to feel that same energy he felt when he fell in love with you. He wants to feel that you still believe in him, still trust him, still want to grow with him. Life changes, people grow, challenges come. But if you continue to invest in each other, that foundation stays solid. Another thing most women don't realize is that married men crave stability. Not just in routine or finances, But in emotion, he doesn't want to guess where he stands with you. He wants to feel secure in your love. When a man knows you're emotionally consistent, that you're not up one day and cold the next, he'll show up with consistency too. But when love feels like a roller coaster, it's hard for him to open up. It's hard for him to trust. That's why it's so important to manage not just what you say, but how you say it. Your tone, your energy, your attitude, it all plays a role in how safe he feels around you. And let's not forget respect. Respect is huge. For a man, feeling respected is often more important than feeling loved. You can say, I love you 100 times, but if your words cut him down, if your actions dismiss him, if your voice carries more criticism than kindness, that I love you starts to lose its meaning. Respect isn't about submission or control. It's about honoring him for who he is, even when he falls short. It's about trusting his decisions, giving him room to lead in his way, and supporting his growth instead of holding his past against him. Marriage is a journey. It's not always pretty and it's never perfect. But when a man has a woman who stands beside him, not behind him, not in front of him, but beside him, that's when he thrives. That's when he grows into the best version of himself. Not because she changed him, but because she created a space where he felt safe to grow. So what does a married man really want from you? He wants you to see him, not just as a husband or provider, but as a human being. He wants your understanding, not just your expectations. He wants your loyalty, not just your love. And above all, he wants to know that he's enough. Not because he's perfect, but because he's trying. When a man gets married, he's not just signing up for a life of shared bills, holidays, and joint decisions. He's stepping into a bond that he hopes will give him something deeper than the physical or the surface level connection people often focus on. What a married man really wants from you isn't always spoken out loud. It's not something he'll always admit, and sometimes he might not even realize it himself. But if you look close enough, if you listen between the silence and the routine, you'll understand that what he's truly searching for is acceptance, peace, support, and unwavering belief in who he is. A man may not be the most vocal about his needs, but that doesn't mean they don't run deep. In fact, most men are taught early on to suppress vulnerability. Society teaches them to be strong, to lead, to fix things, and to be the provider. But it rarely gives them the space to be human. So when he comes home, when he takes off that mask he's had to wear all day out in the world, what he wants more than anything is to be able to just be. He wants to feel like home is the one place where he's not performing, not defending, and not proving himself. He's just a man, raw and real, and he's hoping the woman he married sees that and still holds him close. It's not just about being loved. It's about being accepted in totality. A married man wants to know that even on his worst days, when he's not easy to love, you're still there. When he fails, when he's unsure, when he doubts himself, he doesn't want to be corrected. He wants to be comforted. He needs to feel like his flaws don't make him less valuable in your eye, because a man who feels safe in the arms of his wife is a man who will fight for her, provide for her, protect her, and never stop choosing her. And support doesn't always look like big dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's just listening without judgment when he speaks. Sometimes it's giving him space without making him feel abandoned. Sometimes it's telling him you're proud of him. Not for something huge, but just for showing up every day, for trying. A man can carry the world on his back, but if he feels like you don't notice it, he'll eventually wonder why he's carrying it at all. When you uplift him with your words and your presence, he rises even higher. Many people think that once a man is married, he stops needing reassurance. But that's not true. In fact, he needs it more than ever. He needs to feel desired, wanted, and appreciated. He wants to know that he still excites you, that you still see him as your man, not just your husband or your co-parent or the guy who takes out the trash. He wants to feel like he matters, that his presence isn't just expected, it's treasured. When a woman consistently reminds a man of his worth, she becomes his peace in a world that constantly questions it. Respect plays a critical role in what a married man wants. Respect doesn't mean silence or obedience. It means allowing him to be himself without constant criticism. It means choosing your words wisely, especially in heated moments. Men are sensitive to tone, especially from the woman they love. A single sentence said the wrong way can bruise a man's ego for days, even if he doesn't show it. But a soft tone, a gentle touch, a kind word when he least expects it, that builds a bond he'll never want to break. Let's talk about belief. Every man has a vision, a dream, even if he keeps it tucked away. What he wants from you is not just to be loved, but to be believed in. He wants to feel like you have faith in his abilities and his potential, even when he's uncertain himself. That belief fuels him. It gives him the confidence to keep pushing. When a man knows his woman sees greatness in him, he will rise to meet it. But if he feels doubted or second-guessed constantly, it eats away at his drive. He starts to question himself. He withdraws, and slowly he becomes a quieter version of the man you once knew. Peace is another major thing a married man desires. He doesn't want drama, tension, or emotional chaos. He wants calm. He wants to know that even when the world is loud, his home is quiet and loving. He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for understanding. Peace doesn't mean there are never disagreements. It means even when you argue, you both know how to come back together with grace. When he knows he can mess up and still be welcome with love, he'll open his heart even more. Physical intimacy matters too, but not in the way people usually think. Yes, sex is important, but what a married man really wants is closeness. He wants to feel connected to you on every level, physically, emotionally, spiritually. He wants the touches that say, I see you, the kisses that say, I still want you, and the closeness that reminds him that no matter what's happening outside, you and him are solid. That kind of connection builds over time through consistency, trust, and shared moments that aren't always romantic, but are deeply intimate. Sometimes what a married man wants is simply to know that his wife is in his corner. That when life gets tough, when money's tight, when dreams get delayed, she's not going to turn her back on him. That kind of loyalty is rare, but it's what every man prays for deep down. He wants to look over at you and know that no matter what storms come, you're holding the umbrella with him, not waiting for him to fix everything alone, but standing in the rain with him, shoulder to shoulder. He also wants room to grow. Marriage doesn't freeze a man in place. It should allow him to evolve. He wants to explore his potential, make mistakes, try new things, and know that he's not being judged for every misstep. When you encourage his growth, when you support his goals, even when they shift, you show him that you're not just his wife, you're his biggest ally. A married man wants real, deep, lasting connection, not perfection, not constant happiness, not material things. Just someone who knows him, sees him, hears him, respects him, supports him, and chooses him every day, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. A married man may not always say exactly what he needs, but if you pay attention, his actions, his silence, and his energy will tell you everything. It's a common misconception that once a man is married, his desires are simple: food on the table, sex, and silence. But the truth is, what a married man really wants goes so much deeper. Marriage to a man is more than a contract or ceremony. It's a commitment to feel understood, accepted, and emotionally safe. He wants to wake up next to someone who sees him fully, not just as a provider, but as a human being with needs, emotions, and fears he may not know how to express. Many men were raised to believe that showing emotion is weakness, so they walk through life guarded, especially with their feelings. But when a man marries you, he's hoping he can finally drop that armor. He wants to come home to someone who doesn't demand he always be strong, but allows him to be real. What he truly needs is a space where his vulnerability isn't punished, a space where he can say, "I'm scared" or "I'm tired" without being seen as less of a man. That space isn't built with just love. It's built with trust, consistency, and emotional maturity. A married man wants respect more than almost anything else. Love is important, of course, but respect is how he feels valued. It's in your tone, your words, the way you talk to him in front of others, and the way you treat him when things go wrong. A man wants to feel that his thoughts matter, that his effort counts, and that even when he's struggling, you still see the good in him. When a man feels respected by the woman he loves, he'll go out of his way to make her happy. But when he feels disrespected, when his words are dismissed or his failures thrown in his face, it creates a wall between you and him that becomes harder to tear down. What a married man wants is not a perfect woman. He's not looking for someone who never gets angry or upset. He's looking for someone who knows how to handle conflict without turning the house into a battlefield. He wants peace. Not the kind of peace that avoids issues, but the kind that approaches them with calmness and care. When a man knows he can come to you with problems without it becoming a war, he'll come to you more often. But when home feels like another place he has to defend himself, he'll slowly shut down. Emotionally and physically. Appreciation is another powerful need in a married man's life. When he works late, when he fixes the broken things around the house, when he sacrifices something he wants to provide for the family, he wants you to notice. He doesn't always say it out loud, but he hopes you'll recognize that he's doing his best, that you'll say thank you even for the small things, because in those moments, he doesn't just feel acknowledged, he feels seen. And when a man feels seen by the woman he loves, he stands taller. He walks with purpose. He feels like everything he's doing has meaning. Intimacy is more than just physical for a married man. He wants closeness, connection, and consistency. He wants to know that your touch means you still desire him, that your eyes still light up when you see him. Married life can sometimes feel like routine, but he still wants moments that feel alive. The way you hold his hand in public, the way you lay your head on his chest when you watch TV. Those small gestures tell him that he still has a place in your heart, not just in your home. Another thing he deeply wants is support. Life isn't always going to go according to plan. He will stumble, he will fall short, but in those moments, he wants a partner, not a judge. He wants someone who reminds him of who he is, not someone who points out what he failed to do. Your encouragement, especially when he doubts himself, can be the very thing that gets him back on his feet. When he knows that you still believe in him, even when things are uncertain, he's motivated to keep going, not just for himself, but for both of you. He wants to feel like he made the right choice, that marrying you wasn't just about love in the beginning, but about love that continues through the changes, the challenges, and the growth. He wants to look at you and still see the woman he chose, not because you stayed the same, but because you've grown with him. A married man wants to know that he's not alone in this journey, that as the world changes around him, as his responsibilities grow, as he faces new battles, he's got a teammate who's riding with him, not just watching from the sideline. A married man wants loyalty, not just in body, but in spirit. He wants to know you have his back, that you speak life into him when the world speaks doubt, that you don't compare him to other men, and that you stand with him in public and private. When a man feels that kind of loyalty, you won't need to ask for his heart. He'll hand it to you every time. A married man might not always say what he's feeling, but deep down he craves more than just routine, duty, and surface level affection. He's not always good at expressing it, especially if he's been raised in a world that teaches men to be stoic, silent, and always in control. But beneath that armor, what he really wants from his wife is to feel seen, heard, appreciated, and safe. Not just physically safe, but emotionally safe. A kind of safety that gives him the freedom to be human without fear of judgment or rejection. Marriage to a man means more than sharing a house or a last name. It's about having someone in his life who knows the real him, not just the version he shows the world. Every day he gets up and takes on the pressures of life, career, finances, family, expectations. And while he may not complain about it, he feels the weight. When he walks through the door at night, what he truly desires is to come home to a space where he can relax, not be corrected, where he can be vulnerable, not criticized, where he can take off the mask and know he's still loved, not just for what he does, but for who he is. He wants to be respected, not